When the Patels moved in next door, my family and I were thrilled. They seemed like a nice couple with 2 kids around the same age as ours. We welcomed them with a homemade dinner, introduced them to the neighborhood, and even helped them with a few initial repairs in their home. But it wasn't long before things started going south. The first issue came when they accused our kids of being too loud while playing outside. They claimed the noise was unbearable, despite the fact that our children were simply playing soccer on our own lawn. We apologized, even though we didn't think we were in the wrong, and tried to keep the kids quieter. But it didn't end there soon. They were blaming us for everything. Their garden wasn't growing because of our trees, their mail was late because our mailbox was distracting the postman, and their dog's incessant barking was apparently because of our bad energy. It was bizarre, but we tried to keep our cool, thinking they'd eventually settle in and relax. As the weeks passed, the situation worsened. The Patels started spreading rumors around the neighborhood, telling people we were inconsiderate and even hinting that we were somehow causing their personal problems. Some of the neighbors began to keep their distance, and it felt like we were being alienated because of baseless accusations. The final straw came when they called the police on us. It was a regular weekend evening, and we had a few friends over for a barbecue. The music wasn't loud, and it wasn't even that late, but suddenly, we had officers at our door, responding to a noise complaint. We were embarrassed and frustrated, but once again, we kept our composure. The officers, understanding the situation, left without any issue, but the damage was done. At this point, we had had enough. We decided to keep our distance and just avoid any interaction with the Patels altogether. But little did we know, things were about to take a dangerous turn. Late one night, well past midnight, I was jolted awake by a loud crash. My first thought was that it was something outside, but then I heard it again. This time, it was clear that someone was inside our house. My heart raced as I realized we were being robbed. I quickly woke up my wife and we rushed to check on the kids, who were thankfully still asleep. Grabbing my phone, I dialed 911 while we quietly locked ourselves in our bedroom. The operator assured me that the police were on their way, but in those moments of fear, every second felt like an eternity. I could hear the intruders moving around downstairs, their voices low and harsh. It was clear they were searching for something, but I had no idea what. As I waited for the police, I peeked out the window and saw a figure lurking in our backyard. It was Mr. Patel. My mind raced, trying to figure out why he was out there in the middle of the night. Just as the situation couldn't get any worse, I heard shouting from the direction of the Patel's house. It seemed like someone was arguing or in distress. My instincts told me something wasn't right, and despite my anger toward them, I couldn't ignore the feeling that they were in trouble too. When the police arrived, they quickly apprehended the burglars. It turned out that the intruders were part of a gang that had been targeting homes in the area, and they had planned to hit multiple houses that night. Ours and the Patels included. As the police secured the area, I noticed Mrs. Patel standing outside, crying and holding her kids close. The sight of them, terrified and vulnerable, softened my anger. I approached her cautiously, and through her tears, she explained that they had been receiving threats from these criminals for weeks, but they were too scared to tell anyone. They had been blaming us for their problems because they didn't know how to handle the stress and fear of being targeted. The next day, after everything had settled, the Patels came to our door. Mr. Patel, who had been so cold and distant before, was now a shadow of the man we'd known. He apologized profusely, explaining that their paranoia and fear had driven them to act irrationally, pushing everyone away, including us. He admitted that they had isolated themselves because they didn't want to burden anyone with their problems. They had been too proud to ask for help, and in their desperation, they lashed out at us, the only neighbors who had tried to be kind. We accepted their apology. It wasn't easy, but we knew that holding on to resentment wouldn't help anyone. The burglars' capture had shaken the whole neighborhood, and it was clear that now, more than ever, we needed to stand together. In the end, we offered to help the Patels secure their home, and they, in turn, started to open up to the rest of the community. The experience brought us closer, teaching all of us the importance of communication and trust between neighbors. Even when things go wrong, from that day on, we weren't just neighbors, we became a united front, ready to face whatever challenges might come our way.